It's Easter weekend, so I'm going to make some hot cross buns, and I've got a recipe from the Vegan Life magazine, and this is the March-April 2015 edition. So I've got a recipe there. The ingredients from the recipe are 350 grams of strong bread flour, 1.5 teaspoons of ground mixed spice, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 sachet of Easy Blend yeast, 25 grams of caster sugar, 100 grams of currants, 50 grams of mixed peel, 75 grams of vegan margarine melted, 175 millilitres of soya milk warmed and a little bit for the glaze. And to make the crosses on the top, you need 50 grams of plain flour, 25 grams of margarine, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of water to bind it together. And then for the glaze to go over the top, you need 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed orange juice. And that should make 12 hot cross buns. So the first part of making the buns is to mix the yeast and sugar together in a small bowl, and then gradually add the warm soya milk together and then leave it for 5 minutes. So I'm going to add the yeast first. It says 1 sachet, but I've got a tin of it, so I'm going to add let's say 2 teaspoons. And then there's 25 grams of caster sugar. I'm just warming the milk in a small saucepan to go in the bun mixture. So now I'm going to mix together the yeast and the sugar, and gradually add the warm milk. And then just put that aside for 5 minutes. The next step is to combine the rest of the ingredients for the dough. So there's 350 grams of strong white bread flour, 1.5 tablespoons of mixed spice, and 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and mix that all together. And just make a well in the middle and pour in the mixture of yeast, sugar and milk. And the last bits to add are the currants, the mixed peel, and the melted margarine. And just combine that until it makes a nice dough. So now all the ingredients are combined into the dough. It needs to be kneaded on a floured surface for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to put some flour on the worktop. And knead. I've finished kneading my dough for 10 minutes. So now I've cleaned my bowl out and I'm going to put this back in the bowl for 2.5 hours. I'm going to cover it with a clean tea towel and put it in a warm place and leave that to rise until it's about double the size it is now. So the dough has been rising for about 3 hours or so now, so it's well risen in the bowl. So now I'm going to take it out of the bowl and knead it for another 5 minutes and then cut it into the 12 buns and put it on a baking tray for another 45 minutes or an hour to rise individually. So take this out. And knead. So I finished kneading bread for another 5 minutes, so now I'm going to cut it into 12 equal buns and put it on the baking tray for another hour. So start cutting it up. So as I cut them up, I'm making them into sort of roundish bun shapes and putting them on the tray. There are the 12 buns. I'm going to leave them for another hour or so to rise now, and then I will make the glaze for the topping and the crosses. I'll just cover these with a towel while they're resting, and then I'll come back in an hour or so. While the buns are rising over here under the tea towels, I'm going to make the crosses for the top. So I'm going to use 50 grams of plain flour, and 25 grams of margarine, and I'm just going to rub that together so it looks like breadcrumbs, feels like breadcrumbs. And then just to make it into a dough, I'm just going to add a little bit of water and mix it together. And I'm going to roll this out quite thinly. And cut it into strips. Let's just cut the edge off so it's nice and sharp. So all that's left to do is to make the crosses. So put them across. This is almond milk. So that's the buns ready to go in the oven. I'm going to put them in for about 20 minutes at 180 degrees C. While the buns are in the oven, I'm going to make the orange glaze to go on the top. So I'm going to get the juice of an orange. I need 2 tablespoons of juice, so I think half will probably be enough. And I need 2 tablespoons of sugar. And I'll just heat that until the sugar has dissolved and then glaze the buns with it once they're out of the oven. Okay, the first batch out of the oven, so I'm going to put on the orange glaze.